Hey guys, welcome back Attack. I'm Sky on the Shore, and I'm so excited to bring you my first impression, and this is just the demo. This is just a quick playable demo, super pre-alpha content here for you guys, but I am still enthusiastic. Hopefully that's a telling sign for the video to come and the game to come, which is Izle. So Izle is a game that's very similar to, I guess you could say, Sky Saga or maybe Trove, Minecraft. Absolutely, it's going to be in that same genre, in the same vein, but there's some big differences that make Izle very, very much a different experience. Yes, you are going to be destroying terrain, crafting, not doing things that are too dissimilar from Minecraft or other Minecraftian titles, but what makes Izle so different for me, which is so cool, I really enjoy this, is the fact that it's going to be mixing linear and sandbox style gameplay. And in sacrificing the customization that you'd have with the sandbox, i.e. what we see in Minecraft, they give you an expansive sandbox, and they give you more toys to play within that sandbox. Depending on your armors, your spells, depending on your different equipped items, you have totally different abilities. But what's so interesting, and it's kind of similar to how Albion Online works, is that per article of clothing, or spell, or whatever you have equipped, you are actually going to get totally different passives and abilities, which can completely change your gameplay. This is really important because the game doesn't entirely focus on building or just crafting. Yes, crafting is important to get these items, but really the point of the game, it's kind of like a dungeon diver. The world of Izle and your personal world and everyone else's worlds is comprised of islands, floating freaking islands. Every island is different, and it's through your own personal journey, this is your progression, where you go dungeon dive on an island, acquire resources, own some mobs, and then you're allowed the luxury of actually spawning another island so that you can go and dungeon dive in that. You are the one that chooses which islands. You have a sort of like a talent tree system where you start out with one island and then you can choose between two. It's like a fire maze and then maybe like an ice area. And then you complete the fire maze and then you get a new area. And you have your own little journey. You're the one who's manipulating your sandbox. You get to expand upon it. And really what's cool is that you get new and interesting toys to play with. You don't have stagnant classes like we have in maybe like Trove. And while you have an expansive sandbox, it's not randomly generated, which really works in Minecraft, but at the same time, that creates a lot of space that's really just empty, and there's nothing fun to do in that space. This game, every little dungeon, every little island is planned out. Yeah, for a sandbox game, it's extremely theme park styled, but I think that mix of the two genres is really going to work for Izle. Now, a couple of things that I kind of didn't like about the game was that the facial features of the characters and the characters themselves, I mean, I guess they look very interesting, and I guess you could say they have character, but I just didn't find it very appealing. I would like a little bit more customization. And this was actually kind of silly, but depending on your hairstyle even, because you actually equip the hairstyle, this actually affects your emotes. So I'd like to see more stuff like that. Maybe if I have an earring, I could do a certain emote, or other things similar to that. Maybe different hairstyles will give me different emotes. Maybe if I have like a rocker hairstyle, my wave will be the devil horns. Or if I have a very clean cut and very groomed hairstyle, maybe it'll be a more polite wave. Things like that I think would be very interesting, but I would like a little bit more customization with the face. Of course, it is pre-alpha, so a lot of the items I was not able to enjoy. A lot of customization probably isn't in the game. But overall, the graphics and how the game looks might turn on or turn off some people. Very similar to Minecraft, but I believe it's one of those things where once you get into the game and you can start appreciating its mechanics and its gameplay truly, then the art style will kind of grow on you. Still though, very polygony, but absolutely colorful. The game does look very colorful, and because of this art style, it does allow it to run well on older machines. I could say it looks really good, it's got some nice post-processing, and even though it was early access and I could tell that it wasn't completely optimized, I could say that it ran very well. However, first impressions, when you actually get into the game, the controls are really awkward. You definitely need to keybind and change around some depending on what you want to do, because whenever you equip items, it kind of goes into a default hotkey or slot. So if I wanted to roll on space, I would have to change it to do that. But that's kind of the part of the game, you know, it's part of the fun of the game is equipping different abilities, seeing which ones work out the best, and then making a control scheme around that, and then you have to change it every time you change armor and equipment, but that's kind of like the point of the game. Getting these different armors and getting these different weapons, it's not just about better stats like we see in Minecraft, you're getting entirely new abilities, and that's just incredibly fun. I would love to see this game have a PvP atmosphere, because it has really awesome combat mechanics, and I think it's incredibly fair. But since I didn't play PvP, I can't really say that. I can only speculate that's going to be awesome, because my adventures with the dungeons, with the PvE, was actually really cool. And my experience was that it was kind of difficult. Now, some mobs totally destroyed me, like some bosses, I can't believe I even beat them. It was Dark Soulsian level difficulty. Not that it had a huge amount of animations or abilities, but just because the gameplay itself, and I was a novice, I didn't exactly know how to kite these monsters, I didn't know exactly exactly how to use my own abilities. But once you master yourself, once you master your abilities, I'm sure the game will get easier, but it's cool that there is at least that stepping stone. You can't just go in and just hit a button and win. I also like the graphics. Very similar to what Guild Wars 2 is doing now. In WildStar, you have these indicators. Whenever you block, it shows you the area that you can block in. Whenever you attack, it shows you your area damage that you will be inflicting damage in. Likewise with enemies. Also, what I really liked about this game is that projectiles truly exist in the game world. There's actual physics in the game world. So if a skeleton is trying to shoot me with a bow, and I actually go behind an enemy skeleton, it will hit his teammate, it'll hit his friend, really. So you can actually turn the environment or the enemies against themselves. This absolutely came in handy, especially with hordes in the skeletons with the fire maze. That was pretty crazy. I also like it because of the game physics. You can actually have a more acrobatic character, and because I did have a very acrobatic character, I was able to bypass a lot of the maze. So a lot of these puzzles, a lot of these challenges, monsters, walls, terrain, whatever problem or obstacle is in your face, you can actually equip differently to handle that situation. Now this has me really excited. For single player, yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun figuring out these different puzzles, fighting these different monsters. I think that's going to be, well, just genuinely fun. But what I have a lot of hope for is the multiplayer component of this game. If there's going to be certain islands that are specifically made for groups of people. If there's going to be arenas or different PvP islands that we can create. I'm interested to see what this game's potential truly is. First impressions, I thought it was kind of clunky, I thought it was weird, but all that is really necessary in order to have the true endgame gameplay that I lightly experience at the end of the demo. But other than that, I don't know what they could even do with this game. It just seems like it really has a lot of potential, and I know I probably say that a lot about these Minecraftian games, because it's true. But this game, not only does it have the potential, I think it's actually going to follow up with that. It's really original, and honestly, even though the demo was pretty short, only got to play a couple of islands, I thought it was really fun. I'm Skylin Shore with Attack Gaming. This was Izle. It's a weird name, and the game looks weird, but you just gotta trust me, it's actually a lot of fun. Thanks for watching, and thanks for coming back, Attack. We'll see you again next time.
Be sure to leave this video a like, subscribe. You can find us on Twitter.
Stop.
_Mark McDonald, NWC
No one wants to hear that shit.
No, they want to hear it. This is the first time they've made it all.
Maybe they do.
No one wants to hear it. Everyone's like, oh, that was a really cool video. And then at the end, they're like, you know don't forget to subscribe. And everyone's like, oh, come on.
I tweet essentially to an open, empty room.